On at least in this part of the world, a very, very wet, light Saturday afternoon. We were out shopping, and luckily we got back in the car before the torrential rain came. And as we drove back, yep, there was torrential rain. Let me just move my microphone closer here. Yeah, today's reading is it's called Claim a New Vision, so let's get on with that. Healing isn't just about a wound having the strength to close. Healing is also about a heart finding the courage to reopen again. Physical, mental, emotional. John Rudell. This is Ernest Holmes. Healing, then, is what? It's accomplished by uncovering, neutralizing, and erasing false images of thought, and then letting the perfect idea reflect itself through subjective mind into the body. Thought plus feeling equals belief. Belief equals manifestation. Then Reverend Christine goes on to say, physical wounds, well, they're obvious. Yeah, we can see an injury, we can clean and bandage it, and then we can allow it to heal. Emotional wounds, though, are much more difficult. We can't see them, and they often unknowingly direct and influence our thinking. Thoughts become emotions, and emotions dictate our actions. On the spiritual journey, our work is to be aware of our thoughts, our emotions, and our reactions. As observers, we are empowered to respond rather than to react. In Soul Awakening Practice, Michael Singer writes that most of the time, we just don't understand our emotions. We try to manipulate and control the outside world. Why? So that we won't face uncomfortable emotions. Our past wounds often run our present circumstances. And guess what? They limit our relationships and our experiences. We begin to heal those wounds. How? By being willing to look at the emotional upset and bring it to light. We can choose to lay down any anger, any separation, or any belief, and look at the situation in a new light. We can then forgive and let it go. Michael Singer writes, you must decide. Do I want to spend my life avoiding these blockages, or do I want to master the art of letting them go? A wise person just keeps letting go. We often struggle with how to forgive and to let go. But the good news is we don't have to figure it out. We can surrender to the Spirit and be willing to allow a new story to emerge. Give thanks for the gift of awareness and allow the wound to dissolve and peace to emerge. Yes, we can write a new story. We can reframe things the way that we see the condition, and we can claim a new vision. That last part it's really important. You know, in lots of areas of life, we can reframe things. You know, I've got a really good friend who was diagnosed with breast cancer, and yeah, she went for treatment. And a lot of people wanted to encourage her to become a warrior, you know, like an Amazon, you know, incredibly strong female warrior and fight the cancer. But she took another tack, and she decided to go down the route of allowing her body to heal itself. And she just went for her last checkup, I think about a week ago. And guess what? Yeah, she's cancer free. So she just took a completely different route. So instead of making the situation into a big battle, she decided to take the route of allowing her mind and your body to start the healing process and work through it. So, I work with a lot of people with emotional freedom technique, and often one of the best ways to actually help people get rid, especially of emotional stuff, is to help them reframe it. And when you reframe a situation, then things change completely. If I'm having a big argument with someone, then I can just keep sticking to my own point of view, or I can say, well, let me look at the other person's point of view. How can I see this from their point of view? And I may never agree with them, but at least it often allows me to see why they think that way. So I can reframe it. So it's not a battle of me and them. It's actually just a question of, we don't look at the world in the same way. And then see if we can figure out a middle ground to go ahead. So reframing is a really wonderful technique. When anything happens and it's not all that pleasant, just see, how could I look at this? A simple one is, you're going to the airport and things keep getting in your way and you miss your flight. And it turns out that the flight becomes real rowdy because one passenger is really upset and makes a big mess of things, and the plane has to turn around and come back. Things like that. Oftentimes I find that when things get in the way, if I just let go and let God, things go smoothly and they happen for the best. So, that's my take from this is, forgive. Yeah. Forgetting is harder. Forgiving is saying, you did a really bad thing, but when I keep stewing over this, the only person I hurt is myself. So I'm going to reframe this and say, okay, you did a bad thing. I'm letting it go because it no longer affects me. If it still affects you, fine, but it's not going to affect me anymore, and just let go and let God. So, yeah, I surrender and allow my new story to emerge. That's the affirmation we're given. I surrender and I allow my new story to emerge. Well, that's it for me for today. My colleague Reverend Lisa will be at 9:15ish tomorrow morning. Our weekend service, assuming the rain doesn't turn the whole thing around, will be 11 a.m. and both of those things will be on Creative Life Spiritual Center's Facebook page and later on YouTube. So just take a deep breath. My prayer for you is that when things happen, you're able to stop. Take a deep breath. Let go. Count to 10. And then often the situation changes. So until next time, namaste.